Welcome to the web conference on Learning Management System. Up at the top here, you'll see the short URL where you can join this presentation. Go ahead and pause it here if you need to grab that and join me in this presentation. Before we get into what this module is, let's do just a little reminder on how grading is done in this course. For each module, each assignment, there is a rubric. In the rubric, you have exemplary on the right, proficient, in progress, and limited progress. So as you are looking at that, look at the point value that is for each section, and sometimes in some rubrics there are several different point values depending on what is being assessed. But look at the exemplary column. That is where you want to use as kind of a checklist to check off that you have done every single one of those things. And if so, then you'll gain the points for that activity. Looking at the difference between exemplary and proficient, you'll notice in these examples that some of the points deducted are different, and that's just because each section may be a different value. So be sure you take a look at each of the rubrics for each of the assignments and concentrate on the exemplary column. All right, let's get into the learning management system. The learning management system that we're going to talk about is Google Classroom. So before we talk about the specifics of the assignment, let's take a look at Blackboard. In Blackboard, in this module for learning management system, you'll have first some instructional resources. There's quite a few. There's a video, there's some links over on the right, just about learning management systems, and then what you can do with Google Classroom. There's also a link to a Google Classroom website that gives you tons and tons of resources specifically about creating Google Classroom and things in Google Classroom. There's a Google Classroom tutorial down here at the bottom of your screen. Specifically goes through creating Google Classroom. You've got some tips, some search tips on the side if you're looking for some images, some things to go in your Google Classroom site. You've got that on the side over here. And then of course at the bottom you have got your assignment for Google Classroom. We have the same specifics of this assignment over here in the presentation that you accessed. So with your Google Classroom, you're going to create assignments, you can collect assignments, you can have real-time feedback, and you can ask questions within a Google Classroom. So for your assignment, and we're actually going to go to Google Classroom in just a little bit, I'm going to show you an example of what a completed assignment in a Google Classroom would look like, and then I'll also show you some of the creation pieces within Google Classroom. So for the assignment, you'll create a Google Classroom for one of your subjects. You're going to, number one, add an announcement. And here are the specifics there. It contains the date, time, etc. You will, two, ask a question. And part of this piece, you're going to ask two peers or two of your students, if possible. Most likely, depending on school pieces, you may have to ask two peers to join it, and that is fine. And they're going to complete that question, that multiple choice question that you're going to ask. You'll add 3 assignments, and they are listed here. One assignment will have a Google Doc that is view only. All of these are going to be on a specific topic that you're choosing for your classroom. Assignment number 2 is add a YouTube video as an assignment for students to watch. Instructions for the assignment include that the students will be researching something from the video and what they are to watch for while viewing. So say I wanted to do a research project on animals. Maybe I am going to give them a video on zoo animals as something to watch. Assignment number 3, you will create a Google Slides template for that research topic that we were just speaking of. So say, using my example for animals, that my students are going to create a Google Slides using a template that has information about animals that they are researching. So in that Google Slides template, you will have a task page for students that detail a research project using Google Slides. So that task page will tell them all the details about that project. Specific information on what to research. Remember, this is going to be the same topic as the video you gave them previously. How students are to find information, like are they going to use the Explorer? Are you going to give them links? How will they find information on the topic? That needs to be in the Google Slides template. They will need an information page that gives them the specifics on the assignment. That will also include what information they're to include on each slide. You could even give them a slide that shows a template for that. You're going to do the placement of information. So you might even have a slide that is an example, like top right is the name of the animal, on the left is a picture, bottom right you're going to give the description, whatever you choose on that, but give them an example. And then what they're to include in their research or on that slide template. So if they're supposed to put an image, a video, a text, okay, what you want them to include. Then you will assign this Google Slides template in Google Classroom as an assignment with assignment number 3 with a copy handed out to each student. And that will make more sense in just a minute. I'll show you that. Be sure to mention that using the search handout. Part of this assignment is that you will have a search handout created about how to search in Google, or here is a list of resources you can use, search these resources. So whatever you choose to put in your search handout. The last piece of your assignment for your learning management system would be to post 3 additional items in the About section. One of those items is the search handout that we were talking about previously. This is a handout for search tips, so students are able to find information on their topic. You can create this in docs or slides and post this as a PDF. So you will need to have it saved as a PDF to post it. This handout should have tips for searching in Google or for use in your research project. So if you're researching about animals, maybe you're giving them tips on what wording to use in Google search or specific sites that you want them to use to search. You could make kind of a hot list or image linked page where you have images linked to certain sites and they click on an image to go there. This is open to you, but it will be saved as a PDF. Also in the About section, you're going to have a link to a website with information for students to access on the specific content area. So on our example, if we were using it on the animal research, maybe that is a link to a website on a zoo with information on lots of animals. You're also going to have a link to an online game for instructional support. If we're using the same topic as an example, maybe it's in a link to where they could change habitats of certain animals and see what happens within that habitat. So something like that, but an online game and a website are linked in the About section, as well as a handout for search tips is posted. This is also where you'll find the link to the rubric for this. We'll take a look at that in just a second. But be sure you invite your edit instructor using their Gmail to be a teacher in your Google Classroom. You're going to do this in the About section of Google Classroom. And then you will submit the URL of the Google Classroom when you are inside it, and I'll show you that in just a second, to use to your Google Classroom in Blackboard. Let's take a look at the rubric real quick. Inside the rubric on Google Classroom, you have actually got each one of the sections: about, announcement, question, and then down below you have assignments 1, 2, and 3. You will look at the exemplary section of each one of these. Notice if you are missing one of any of these, It is a 0.5 deduction on any of the assignments. On the questions and the pieces at the top, it is a 0.2 deduction for missing one of the elements. So that is in your rubric. All right, let's take a look at the Google Classroom. Several of you wanted to see an example of what your Google Classroom might look like. So I asked one of the students from a previous semester that is now employed with LISD if she would mind sharing her class, and she agreed. So let's take a look at this classroom. This first one, let's look at About. This is the About section. This is where you would put things you wanted students to access all of the time. So in our assignment, it asks for 3 things. You'll notice she put 4. Okay, more if it is relevant is always great. One of the things is a game link, and so she has added a game link here. So you click on the link and it takes you to the game. She has also linked a website with information to her topic, multiplication or math word problems. Okay, here is her handout. She gave a handout. This was the extra thing she gave. A handout with web resources. So she was doing math word problems, so this is a safe place to create those math word problems. The other requirement of the 3 things in the About section is some Google search tips. And so she has included 50 Google search tips for students and teachers of some different ways to search. So those are the 3 things in the About section. You'll notice also she has invited her instructor here as well. All right, let's move to the student section. You can see in her student section that she has more than 2 students, because this 2 students is what was required to respond to your question. So she did go ahead and invite more than that, so she has more responses. Here is that class code that you can use to display to invite students. These students in this class can be your peers. They are not your students from your classroom placement. All right, let's move to the stream. In the stream, here's kind of where the meat and potatoes of everything of Google Classroom takes place. So this is where students would see all their assignments. You could actually add topics and have them sort their assignments here. So let's look at the assignments that are for your module. So one of the assignments is an announcement. So here is the announcement that she made. She did that by going to the plus sign in the corner to create an announcement, and she created the announcement here. In this case, she did not add any links or add anything to it, and that is perfect. All we needed was an announcement. The next thing was a question. So if you click on this, this is a question that has a multiple choice. So she has had that answered by 5 students, and you can see in this graph here how Classroom displays it. Here's where if she were actually going to grade that, she could give these students a grade. And this is what happens on each of the assignments that you can do in Classroom. So how you create that word problem is you go to the plus sign, you go to create question, and you're going to change it from a short answer to a multiple choice, and that gives you the option to add multiple choice questions. You can turn this on or off where students can see like the aggregate or summary of all of the information. You can also do a due date if you wish, but here is where you place your question. You could add something for students to look at with that question. For this assignment, you do not have to do that. All right, the next 3 pieces you can kind of see here: assignment 1, assignment 2, and assignment 3. Let's look at assignment 1. Assignment 1 was to attach a Google Doc so that students can view only. So in her assignment, she said to solve the word problem on a separate piece of paper and submit it when you are done. So here is her assignment. You click on it. Now I have more than view only because she gave me edit rights. That is why it's not showing view only. For students, that would show view only. But here is her assignment. They could make a copy of it and then they could turn it back in within Google Classroom. But all you are required to do is create a Word document, or I'm sorry, a Google Doc with something that has to do with your topic and attach it view only. So let me give you an example of that. Click the plus sign, go to create assignment. You would click on drive, and I could go to my drive and I could find, say, that assignment, click add, and right here students can view file. That is exactly what that needs to look like. And then I would title it and click assign. As soon as you start putting the title, then your assign comes up. Okay? All right, so assignment 2. Assignment 2 was where you put a video. So she put the assignment, watch the video on how to solve word problems. Once you are done watching, create a Google slide with 5 things you learned from the video. That is her assignment. That is not what you have to do. You create an assignment with a video that has to do with your topic. So students could click on that video and they could go straight to that YouTube video. Here's how you would create that one. You hit the plus sign, go to create assignment. Here instead you're going to click the video. Notice you can search in YouTube, or if you have previously found a video, you can put the URL and place that video there. Once you do that, you would click assign just like previous, and it would create this assignment and it would look just like this. That's all you have to do. No one has to do these assignments. They only have to answer the question. Okay? All right, let's look at the last assignment. So the last assignment is you are to attach a Google Slides template. The template has to have a task assignment or a task list. So let's take a look at that assignment. So here is her assignment. So when I open it up, this is the template for her students. So we talked about a task list. She called it your task. Okay, that works really well with the rubric when you're talking about having a task page. So she has, you're going to create 3 word problems all on separate slides. Here's what she wants them to do. And they've got a handout for each one of those. And here's what to include. Remember, the assignment had to say on the task list what they were to include. 3 word problems, each on their own slide, a visual on each slide that relates to the problem, okay, or the solution to the problem and how you solved it and the strategies used. Okay, remember in the About section we saw that resources or websites to search handout. She gave that to them in their About section. So it said in our assignment for them to refer to the search or information in the About section. So you would do that as well. Here's the rest of her slides where students are to type. All right, it said for you to hand that out. Let's look at the edit view of this assignment. This assignment has to be handed out where each student will get a copy of it. So they get their own copy and Classroommint names it for them. So she did that exactly right on this assignment. Let me show you how that is done. So I go to plus, I go to create assignment, I go to the drive, I'm going to put that slide template there, click add. Here's where I have to change it. If I don't change it here, I cannot go back and edit it to change it. I have to delete it and do it again. But here is where I make a copy for each student. That is what that needs to look like. So you would need to make that little template first and then attach it through Drive and make a copy for each student. You would put the title and your information and then you would click assign. So that should be everything that is in your Google Classroom assignment. Hopefully this walkthrough has helped you understand exactly what this assignment requires.